What does drama mean to you? What are the nominalizations that you've attached to it? What are you aware of, and what seems to be just out of reach of your awareness? What are the internal cues you've associated with drama? Consider this as you listen. Drama lives at all logical levels, and there are 7 logical levels. You can find the model at wellsystems.com. Drama at the environment behavior level might be something like messing in people's lives to create a particular outcome. At the strategy level, it could be rage, fear, shame, hopelessness, etc. At the beliefs, values, and attitudes, it could be things like righteousness or stagnation. I wonder, what does drama look like above the choice point? As I read the blog post on verbal decluttering by Jennifer Hatt, I noticed all the choices she made to surrender and let go of the stories she held as real inside herself that allowed her to keep sustaining the default. In that moment, I also became aware of the role drama plays in our lives. The drama we create and sustain and replicate, often out of our awareness and out of habit. It's rather easy to react in a habituated way, despite how painful it is also, because it is familiar. While reacting habitually isn't bad or wrong, I am aware that it also limits the potential for expansion. So many of us use drama as a strategy to keep sustaining the status quo of our life. We don't know what else to do, so we keep doing the same old thing, or we oscillate to its extreme. So for example, the good girl gone bad comes to mind. Of course, she goes from shame ruling her life, and she would do anything to avoid it, to shamelessly engaging in activities that everyone knows are at the very least inappropriate for a good girl. Generally, we do this because we don't want to, or we don't know how to, take responsibility over our own internal cues. So we'd rather avoid feeling our feelings, or we'd rather make it about someone else being wrong, or we'd rather try desperately to keep the illusion of peace, and so on. And we all do it. We do it because it serves us in some way, even if it's as simple as not wanting to take action differently. So we turn our drama into a resource and keep playing the same familiar role we've always played. And nothing changes until we mindfully decide to take responsibility for ourselves. To reclaim our lives is to take the sacredness of responsibility back. In a recent conversation with Louise Lebrun, she said to me, "Open, honest, and direct diffuses drama when people use drama as strategy to be able to continue to not take responsibility for their own internal cues." Whoa. Drama as strategy is us trying to get rid of the chaos we feel inside, and we don't know how else to do it. So we do what we know and perpetually keep ourselves prisoners to our own habits. The power, however, lives in making different choices than the habituated. So consider for a moment what life looks like when we live fully congruent lives, not tied to our age-old familiar habits simply because that's what we know, but instead we creating new habits where the normal is acceptance of what is and letting go of the old while honoring the truth that lives in the body. I read an old diary entry from about a year ago when I was so righteously enraged at everything going on around me, yet seemingly no one was paying attention. How can I be more present to myself in the face of collapse? Fear, rage, outrage, familiarity, outside of me. The next time I create such an experience for myself, I will choose to stand in the moment, allow the rush to move sufficiently through that I open my body to a new truth, one that supports my soul in evolution in the moment, without being seduced by the show of the outrage, the familiar. Knowing I am the force of manifestation for all that unfolds in my life. Knowing that every single experience I create for myself is an invitation to propel me forward, a mere moment of choice. Going back to the familiar is easy. Outrage, I now know that all too well. Choosing expansion, life, God force, magic, now that is the new way of living. Everything is an invitation to choose that which I already am. How do I get myself to the point that everything becomes but a metaphor for the choices I'm making? The answer for me was, is, and will continue to be quantum TLC. When quantum TLC replaces the intellect as a way of life, the I am that we each are emerges, because quantum TLC is the essence of what we are. It is not yet another strategy. So, what does it take for us to notice the drama we create inside ourselves because we're used to the familiarity of the habituated responses? What does it take for us to breathe life into the truth of our experience without shutting it down or trying to make it be anything other than what it is? What does it take for us to let go of the habituated, trusting that it isn't giving up our life and everything we've known, but instead a simple choice that moves us toward the future we desire? Drama above the choice point looks very different. To me, drama above the choice point converts to intensity, definitiveness, clarity of intention, honesty, directness. I know what I know, and I am unapologetic about that. It is a deep connection with our own inner cues, and it is savoring the moment and everything it brings, trusting this is where freedom lives. In the perceived mess of the whole thing, there is no right or wrong. How could there be? There's only the truth of my experience, owned. This is an incredibly attractive space for us to live in, once we give ourselves permission to taste its sweetness. The space where we each show up as our authentic selves, expressing, letting go of the habituated and worn out, and embracing the power of the body. This is where the energetic force of the crone lives and therefore creates. In a blog post, Louise Lebrun asks, "How then shall I live?" There is a powerful alternative. The question is, will you choose it? I provide you with some resources here for you to consider about what is quantum TLC and what our bodies are revealing and how we're able to listen to the messages of the body. So you can find that in the show notes below, or you can visit my blog post. And I've added a new section that I think I'll be using from now on, which invites you to consider, how else then shall I live? And this is an invitation to an expansive playground. So for example, when I attended Narcotics Anonymous meetings, one of the first things they said to me is to change who I hang out with. And the reason for that is because modeling is our greatest teacher.